Hi, this is Kyle from lessonsreview.com. Alright, today's guitar lessons review video is all about an online guitar community called JamPlay. Now, my cousin Brian and I have both been playing guitar for over 10 years, and honestly, we gradually bought a ton of lessons online, and we ended up actually making this rating algorithm, kind of geeking it out a little bit with a spreadsheet, to compare them side by side. And basically what we found was that JamPlay ended up being the #1 rated program overall. Now, it's not perfect. And one thing we noticed was that pros and cons wise, one of the cons was the fact that their money back guarantee only lasts 7 days. So if you sign up, you pay $19.95, you get in here, you start looking at everything, you're like, this isn't what I want. You only have 7 days to get a refund. Now, obviously, you can still cancel after the 7 days and stop paying from that point forward. But at the same time, a lot of the other programs offer 30-day, even 60-day money back guarantee. So what we thought about was it might be helpful to you to basically be able to look in, at my account, and you can see inside the members area, you can see what they have to offer, how things are laid out, and if it's something that you're interested in, you can sign up, and that way you kind of save some time. If it's not something you're interested in, and you don't think it's worth the money, then you can basically just save the time and the money from the beginning, and not have to worry about signing up and then going through the hassle, sending them an email and getting a refund and all that kind of stuff. So I hope it helps, and let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so this is what you see when you first log in, and the core element to the whole site is the video lessons. They're HD quality, and you can choose different streaming speeds and everything, so you can actually kind of find a balance between page load time and quality of video, which is really cool. Let's go ahead and look at the first phase. All the lessons are broken up into 3 phases. There are almost 3,000 lessons right now, and the first phase focuses on beginner lessons. So they break it up into acoustic and electric guitar. And each individual instructor, there are 44, I think it said right now, and each of these individual instructors has their own series, and so everything's very well organized. So let me show you an example here real quick. Let's do your first song. Okay, so this is very beginner level stuff. In the beginner section in phase 1, they actually start walking you through things as simple as how to hold the guitar, how to string it, how to tune it, even how to choose the right guitar. But they actually walk through a whole bunch of stuff too. Like they'll start like getting you, to understand some very basic progressions, some very basic chords, strumming patterns, how to use a capo. I mean, all kinds of really cool stuff. So this is the streaming quality I was talking about before. And one thing to note too, obviously you can do full screen video. Some people actually, one of my friends actually plugs their laptop. They got like some $5 cable at Radio Shack. They plug their laptop into their TV. They have like a 42-inch TV, and you can just plug the laptop straight in and watch it massive and full screen on the TV, which is really helpful. But anyway, another really cool feature is they have this thing called looping. So you can select 2 parts of the video and let it just continue to repeat that same section. And that's really helpful when you're stuck on something, especially in the song lessons. I'll show you those in a minute. If you're stuck on a certain part, say it's like this 15-second little segment, and you're trying to figure out that one thing, man, is it nice to just let it loop, because it's so frustrating when you're sitting there with your guitar and you're on your lap or whatever, and you're sitting there in a chair, and you have to keep clicking the mouse to go back to a certain part. So that was genius on their part to add that. And I've seen that in a couple other communities too. That's a really cool feature to have. What's nice too is that the lessons aren't just videos. I mean, it'd be one thing just to have the video, but it's nice to also show things like the lesson materials, in this case a very simple tab and standard format or whatever, which is really cool. That can actually help you in a lot of different ways, especially when it gets more complex than this, has more chords and more difficult progressions and stuff. But another cool thing is they show you chord chart, and notation format, and then also just tabs. So if you've been playing on Ultimate Guitar for a long time, you'll be very familiar with this format, which is great. And you can actually, I'll show you this in a little bit, but you can actually add your favorite chords to a chord sheet and even break them up into different genres, different styles, however you want to do it. I've just kept the default sheet, but that's a pretty cool feature too. This is just a quick and easy way to navigate to other lessons. You can actually take notes. I haven't taken notes on this one. This one's pretty simple, but yeah, I mean that's a pretty cool feature too. It's no different than taking a guitar class in college, or even in-person lessons with a private instructor. On top of all that, they add a lot of value actually sometimes with the comments, because you'll find that there are just dozens and dozens of people that are commenting on a video, and sometimes the instructor will hop in there and answer questions and stuff, and so that can really add a tremendous amount to the quality of the lessons too, because you can ask a question, get it answered. Typically it's answered the same day. It's really nice. So that's all just phase one. That same layout and structure works the same way, for these three things and the artist series though. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how they all work. The phase two is where it starts to get really fun because it actually focuses in on genres and skills. So genres, everything from blues to metal to country, jazz, funk, rock, bluegrass, even Hawaiian slack key, Celtic, classical. I mean, they cover pretty much everything you can imagine, which is awesome. And they also have skill building. Skill building, is basically just what it sounds like. Singing with guitar, lead concepts, speed and technique, specific tips. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff in each one of these. I mean, just this one little thing with tips and tricks has, over, what is that, almost 30 videos. So, yeah, they end up really walking through a lot of things. And songwriting is really cool, too. But speaking of songs, phase three, that's all it's about. From what I understand, JamPlay has to pay a lot of money to get the licensing to be able to do this, but basically they've built up this library of a couple hundred songs that they actually have made step-by-step videos of how to play the song, how to play every part on guitar. So even if there are, sometimes in some songs there are 3 different guitar parts, the way that the studio versions and stuff. So they walk through with different camera angles. They show you how to play all these songs, and most of the songs are things that, depending on the genre, of course, they're things that you actually would want to play. They're things that you've heard before, things that you like to listen to. So it's a lot better than just, random stuff or backing tracks that are just really generic and stuff. I mean, they really walk through some pretty cool stuff. So that's phase three. The artist series is kind of a continuation of phase two and phase three, where the actual artists themselves will walk through things that they feel are really important based on their style and the kinds of things they do. And then in the style of is kind of cool too. So if you like a certain guitarist, say Jimi Hendrix or something, Steve Vai, those kinds of guys, you can actually see specific lessons that focus in on their series, their guitar style and the things that they do too, which is really, really powerful for some of these. I mean, these can be really cool. Live sessions, they actually do a webcam-based thing called Jam Chat, which is 12 hours a day. There will be an instructor available. You can hop on a chat room basically that's all secure within JamPlay. And you can ask them questions. It's kind of more of like that one-on-one private time. Sometimes it's more like 7-on-1. There'll be one instructor answering questions from 6 or 7 people, but every once in a while you'll have more than 10, 15 people, 20 people on there. But it ends up being really powerful because you can talk to other people live and you can talk to the instructor too. So, after you start taking some lessons throughout the phases and you start to find the instructors that you really connect with and really like, you can start looking up the times that they're doing live lessons and actually hop on there, and they schedule them really far in advance too. I mean, they have them, weeks and weeks in advance. So that can be really, really cool too, to add a little benefit and kind of make it feel like it's a private, lesson setup. Next section here is teaching tools. This is something that kind of sets online guitar lessons apart from the DVDs that we've bought. I actually bought a couple DVD courses that I found, for one, weren't as good because of the fact that it's static. I mean, these 3 phases, they have thousands of lessons, but they're adding new ones every week. And when you buy a DVD course, it's going to be the same forever. It's not like they're going to send you new DVDs later after you spend a couple $100 on the DVDs, So it ends up being really powerful to have something online because it's dynamic. I mean, they can make something new every day. And part of that dynamic ability is something like a chord library, where, like I mentioned earlier, you can save your favorite chords. You can create chord sheets and customize things. I mean, this is just, say for C. I mean, you can look at the C chord family. You can look at different types. You can look at different tunings. And you can see all the C's. You can see so many different chords, which is incredible. So whether you're looking to write songs, whether you're trying to figure out how to play specific songs, or how to develop more skill in certain areas or genres, chord library can be invaluable. It's similar, in a similar fashion. They've done something with scales, where they actually show how to play the scales themselves, and then you can actually click play on a video to watch someone play it, honed in on the actual, kind of zoomed in on that one thing. And they also have a separate angle, which is kind of nice too. So all in live, format, whichever one you prefer, you can watch that one. So that's pretty sweet too. Let me go back here to the beginning. It'll be quicker. All right, so the next thing, oh, actually, let me walk through the tools here just a little bit more. Lick and Riff library is pretty cool, and backing tracks. Those two things, it's kind of like the dad that teaches his son to swim by just throwing him in the deep end. I mean, playing with, actually jamming with people, playing, just learning to solo, just strumming chords, doing progressions, feeling the chord change. Those are the best ways to learn. It's much, much easier just to dive in and start playing. But at the same time, it's embarrassing. I mean, when you're not good in the beginning, it's hard to do that stuff. So I've found that it's actually really cool, and in private, to be able to sit there and listen to a backing track that's somebody's basically a recording of someone strumming chords of a certain type, and you can sit there and solo over it. Learn things like that. I mean, that's just a really, really good way, without having to be embarrassed, to learn those kinds of things and develop those skills and keep the tempo and keep things moving. Speaking of keeping tempo, they do have a metronome. That's a pretty simple thing, but it's definitely valuable. Guitar tuner. They have a tune by ear thing and a digital tuner. If you actually have a line in, you can actually do a mic through your computer. Then you can tune straight up from that. And then obviously they have this setup too, so you can just tune it by ear. They also have something that's kind of unique that we haven't seen in any other courses or anything, and that's games. I mean, they have these little leaderboards, and you can actually, like they said, music theory sucks a little less with games. So music theory is usually pretty dull, is what they're getting at with that. And yeah, I mean, playing some games actually makes this a little more fun. So whether it's recognizing pitches or memorizing the fretboard, playing games can definitely make things a little more fun. They also have a forum, which is actually pretty huge, and they end up going through a lot of stuff in here, and there are tens of thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of posts overall. There's so much content in here, and there's all these people talking all the time, and you can get a lot of questions answered, not just from the instructors, but from other students, which is beneficial too. And we did find the forum to be a lot more active than some of the other communities, and some of the other even DVD courses will claim that they have a forum, but it tends to not be all that active and all that useful. So anyway, I hope this video helped you. Hope it helped you make a decision about JamPlay. It's a really cool community, and they're always improving things, which is nice. I mean, we've seen some of the cons that we initially reported on our review. We've seen them go away already. So they're definitely doing a good job pushing forward, and look forward to seeing what they do in the future. But hope the video helped, and have fun learning guitar.